It's time for Game On Hockey with Travis Dunn and Scott Taylor.
Near side, Reese Gaber shoots, score!
Talking all things from the blue line to the red line.
A breakaway for Kaprizov. He's in. He shoots. He scores.
And beyond.
Sure, old-time hockey. Like 80s Shore. Yeah.
Now here are your hosts, Travis Dunn and Scott Taylor.
We bring Brad Berry back in. Scott, you got questions. Fire away.
How good is Reese Gaber?
Yeah, he's an elite
First
player.
question anybody in Manitoba would ask.
Yeah, he's an elite player. There's a number of things that he brings to the table. Obviously, elite skill level, skating ability. He's really dynamic on his edges. Not a big body, but plays much bigger than he is. And, when he goes into a corner on a forecheck, I'd say 9 times out of 10, he'll come out of the corner with the puck. And kind of the last guy that was an undersized guy that we had in our lineup that would do that was Troy Stetcher. Kind of reminds me a little bit, even though Troy's a defenseman, but a guy that has a relentless will every shift. And he just pushes a bar up in our group every day just because he's not a professional, but he acts like a consummate professional out there each and every day.
Is he one of those guys that is as good in practice as he is in a game?
Absolutely. And which transfers over to the game. And like he's a guy that was patient with his process. He played in Steinbach in the Manitoba Junior League, and then he went into Dubuque and played a couple of years there. And it's tough now when you have elite players. They don't normally play 3 years of junior hockey. He did. He felt that was the path he needed to take. And that extra year he played, he was lights out. Like he was one of the best, if not best players in the USHL that year, which transferred over for him, coming in, having a great freshman year for us. And sometimes being patient is a good thing and trying to get to the next level instead of just chasing it all the time. But he's such an unbelievable person. Like he's such a humble person in his day-to-day approach with the skill level that he has. He doesn't really show that he's arrogant. He's very humble.
You talk about that word patience, Brad. And that goes back to when you played, when I played, the process that you talk about, the development process. How often do you see the patience part cost players a better career?
Well, again, I've been doing this a long time, and obviously was fortunate enough to play pro hockey for a few years and then come back to college. But whatever level that is, it's tough. If you rush the development side, it's not good, and it's not good in the fact that you might get there, but might not stay there. You might regress a little bit, and I go back to college hockey right now, and there's so much turnover in hockey, whether it's players making different choices after their commitments, the transfer portal once they do get into college. Like it's a situation right now. There's so many transactions from year to year, and a large part has to do with being impatient and going in too early. And we always gauge it, as far as whatever level you're at, you have to be a really good player or dominate that level you're at before you can have success. And sometimes, they put it the other way. They just want to get to that next level. They want to kind of chase it, and that's not usually productive.
You brought up the transfer portal. Has that changed your recruiting?
Well, you know what? It's changed it in the fact that there's going to be probably players out there that there's two parts to that. The COVID the outbreak that granted everybody another year of eligibility. That kind of circle or that kind of timeline will end in another year or so with that eligibility of having the extra year. But the transfer portal's here to stay, where you can transfer without sitting out. Before, you'd have to sit out a full season and practice, and that would kind of deter a lot of players from transferring, sitting out and not playing games. Well, now you could freely move about, and that does change it a little bit. I firmly believe, though, you have to grow. Just like good NHL teams, you have to grow through your draft. You have to grow through your prospects, because that's how you build your culture. That's how you have the sustainability and the perpetuity of growing what your identity is and what your culture is. And, when you bring players from the transfer portal, they're good players, but they're only there for 1, maybe 2 years. And they're just learning what your identity and culture is all about. And after 8 months, they're gone. So they provide like last year, we had 14 guys that left to play pro hockey or graduate to school. That's half your team. We couldn't bring in 14 freshmen, so we brought in 9 freshmen and 5 transfers. 9 freshmen is a big class, and we brought in 5 transfers. Those transfers helped us. So this year we have 4 freshmen and 3 transfers, and hopefully we can have more freshmen and less transfers as we go.
I watched Shane Pinto play the other night, as good a player as the Ottawa Senators have. How proud are you of the guys who played in your program, especially the guys you recruited yourself and have gone on to play professional hockey and seem to be doing as well as they are? There must be a certain level of pride in that, and that must help you recruit.
Yeah, you know what? It does. And you know what? I think, first of all, it's a great question, Scott. Very proud to start off with. But, a lot has to do with the person themselves. If they invest in themselves on a daily basis, if they're you call them an everydayer, if you maximize each and every day. Shane Pinto was an everydayer. He came to the rink every day to not only work out hard in the weight room, go through hard practices, but he would come back later in the afternoon, and it was amazing. He had a routine where he would go out and do power skating on his own to do this edge work protocol that he has. He has amazing edges for a big guy. And one of the biggest things was everybody said he wasn't the quickest guy, but he really improved his first 2 or 3 steps to where it's NHL like right now. And it's funny, the other day they played in Winnipeg, and a good friend of mine, Scott Arneal's coaching there. And I texted him after the game. I said, "How was that Pinto kid?" And he goes, "Not bad for being from UND." He said he had to bust me a little bit, but yeah, no.
It sounds like Scotty. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can't get any compliments from him at all. So, anyways, yeah, we're proud of him, and as well as a lot of other guys that come to our program and invest in themselves every single day.
I was on the Has-Beens last night. You're pretty familiar with the Has-Beens, right? The podcast with Gage Osmus and Trevor Olson. And we had that same conversation about guys like, the late bloomers and Gage Osmus, who said, when I started skating and carrying the puck, I got lightheaded after about 3 or 4 strides. I knew I had to move the puck, realizing our limitations. And we all have to realize that to be part of the team. But have you had the opportunity to be on with those two has-beens?
No, I haven't. I know there's a invitation out there somewhere, but again, I'm probably going to wait for a while. I know they're probably got a long list of more interesting people than me to be on their show. So I'll wait in the weeds here.
Well, I'll make sure to pitch it. I was the 40th episode of the Has-Beens. Go on, search them however you can search them, but it's they're entertaining and Ozzy obviously entertaining. Well, this weekend, University of Manitoba. Next weekend, Holy Cross. The weekend after, Quinnipiac comes to town. That's an interesting, we can talk about a specific circumstance of a very interesting circumstance of a former player who played at UND, was an All-American, whose son was a former player at UND, was an All-American, and the youngest son comes along very late in life, and he's playing for Quinnipiac, and that's Marcus Chorney. Chorney will be in the audience wearing his Quinnipiac jersey. I mean, talk about the family history of that when you got a guy playing, at the level they played at, and now the youngest son's playing at Quinnipiac.
Yeah, well, Taylor being the youngest, he went through Shattuck, and he was kind of a late bloomer, very good player. But at the end of the day, he chose to go out east, and we played against him last year. He played very well, and I believe he's graduated out of the program. I think he graduated, and he's out pursuing other opportunities right now. But anyways,
okay.
Mark was out there, and we saw him last year, and he'll be here for the Quinnipiac series. I think he's even going to bring a whole bunch of family members here and to watch the game. But anyways, yeah, it was very interesting to see, Mark played here and Taylor played here and Marcus played out in Quinnipiac. And Quinnipiac's going to have a really good team this year.
Yes, they are.
They ended up keeping a lot of fifth-year players due to the COVID year, and they brought in a lot of transfers. So they're going to have a very experienced team again. And, we went out there and, we had a young team. Well, we had 14 new guys, and we went out there. That was one of our first non-conference series, and it was a tough weekend. Our guys really learned from it. And, we dropped the first game, but we came back to win the next game to get the split out there. And that was very impactful of us having a successful season out there, getting right after it.
It's not an NCAA game on Saturday night, but for you as a coach, it's going to be an important game. How important it is for your team to get this game under your belt against a team that's pretty experienced? I mean, there's some guys on this team that have played a lot of hockey. And although it's unlikely they will beat you, I'm sure as a coach, you're going to see players on your team and see how they react to guys that have some different skills than you might see in Division I.
Yeah, well, these guys are grown men, and they're, first of all, they're physically mature. They've been around the block a few times here. They're excellent players. We just talked about it with Mike. These guys, you talk to one guy that's already played American Hockey League games that's close to making the NHL. You have a number of these guys that are kind of on the cusp of trying to do that in their careers. But at the end of the day, these guys have probably played a couple of games early on here before us. that's no excuse. We're going to go out there. We practice for 5 weeks, albeit not game like, but we have practice against each other here, and we feel that we want to bring our A game. There might be a little bit of rust, but hopefully after a period of 2, we'll be moving the puck really well. One thing I wanted to say about that is, Scott, you mentioned about that first game. What do you want to see out of it? Well, we have 4 freshmen, and we feel they're outstanding young skilled forwards that we have in our group. That's going to add to our skill level. They've never played in front of 12,000 fans before. And even though this is an exhibition game, we're raising a banner. We're going to have 12,000 fans for an exhibition game, which is an amazing feat. That's the experience we want our young guys to have. The transfers, they're going to come in and see, man, you know what? We played out east in Union, and we played in UMass, and we played in Michigan State with our transfers. They haven't played in North Dakota. So to give them the experience, that's a big deal.
I tell you what, and the one guy out there that's going to be, you have to talk about Ben Strinden, the relationship with the Ralph and Gino Gasparini, and getting his grandfather being instrumental in getting the Ralph Engelstad Arena built. I can't imagine the adrenaline in that young man's body when he steps out on the ice for the first time.
Well, you mentioned it, and we've tracked Ben a long time back when he played for Fargo South High School back at North Star Christian Academy, and then he went to Muskegon, and we knew the roots, right? But you have to earn your way to North Dakota. It can't because your grandfather, your father played here. You have to earn your way here, and he rightfully did that. And man, we're excited about Ben Strinden. Not only he's an outstanding young person, hard worker, he's going to surprise some people. Great two-way player, hard nosed. He's going to have a great career here in North Dakota.
And a name I know that Scott knows very well, Stefan Patton, is someone I think I would compare to where Ben could potentially get. A great leader, just someone you'd follow through a cement wall.
Yeah, for sure. Steph he was a captain of our team here. He came in not heralded at all. He had to work his way into the lineup. He was a mainstay after that, and to the point where he was a captain on a championship team when he was here. And to this day, you have to build your teams around the Steph Pattons and the Ben Strindens of the world. And, we have Mark Senden right now. We feel like, Mark Senden, Gavin Hain, some of these guys in our group here have that DNA in them. And we always try to recruit a freshman class with not only skill, but guys that have outstanding character and leadership qualities.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of leadership qualities, the dog wants to go outside, so go lead that dog outside. Hey, we'll see you Saturday night at the big rink. Well, again, and Scott's going to be there. We'll have a good chance to catch up before the game.
Absolutely. It'd be great to see both of you guys.
And give my best to Suzanne. Should I see her getting the dog?
I know.
Brad Berry, the head coach of the University of North Dakota men's hockey team. Thanks for joining us, Brad.